For Warlock, I have got to go with Soul Barrage. I can't believe how good this card is in WoW. When you discard this, it's 0 mana deal 6, and when you have cards in WoW, like Expired Merchant and Cataclysm and all these incredible discard effects and Malkazar's Imp into Home Tampering, you can just destroy your opponent. That damage is always going face. I think Discard Warlock has a great shot of coming back, and it's gonna be because of Soul Barrage.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and Hearthstone, you got a bit of a problem here. You've got a bit of a problem as we are seeing one of the most historic, most broken, balanced things we've ever seen in two modes at the exact same time. Two Hearthstone modes currently are just outright broken. Completely busted, completely imbalanced, skewed towards one class. It's ridiculous. We'll go into exactly what's happening and, well, how can it be fixed? And as well, before we get into all of that, I just want to give a reminder that if you enjoy our content on the channel and you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like. It helps the channel out a ton. So if we take a look at HS Replay right now, Standard, actually, we're going to talk about Standard probably tomorrow, by the way. The meta, again, I know a lot of you guys, I've been seeing the comments, not loving it. I'm not loving it. Very solitary. But if you take a look at least a look at like the class win rates, you got like 6 classes above 50% against all ranks again. Not the best indicator in the world, but yes, you have basically in terms of like decks or classes are doing really well. Rogue, Druid, Hunter, and Demon Hunter all doing really well. Warlock, Paladin can compete. Death Knight lagging behind, sadly. Such an awesome class, but just can't keep up with the other stuff. But regardless, it's kind of balanced-ish in terms of winning. Like, there's multiple things you can do. Are they fun? I think that's debatable. Is it fun to face? I think absolutely not, but that's probably going to be tomorrow's video. But today's video is more like, oh my god, what is happening? We got to get this stuff fixed. So starting off, we're going to look at the Arena. Arena is the mode I'm less concerned about, but it's insane to look at. The Arena, Death Knight. If you want to play Death Knight and get wins, and I have 104 Death Knight wins already in 3 days. A lot of it is in Arena. 62.7% win rate, with Paladin being the only other class with a positive win rate. Period. And you go all the way down, you have 4 classes that don't even win 40% of their games. Like, I can barely think of a time where we've had like 2 classes. Like, I think with Druid and Warrior recently that were that bottom, but 4 of them. If you take the gap between Warrior at 34.8% and Death Knight, it's like nearly double. Not quite, but that is insane how unbalanced it is. What is going on there? Well, Death Knight cards are really good. You get offered a lot of class cards when you pick Death Knight, and they're just really strong. I mean, all you have to do is take a look at like the Possessifier, right? Gives you 2 1/1s with Reborn, with Rush, just helps fight for the board. It's in 10.3% of Death Knight decks, and if it's there, you have like a 70% deck win rate. Like, just like one card like that, that's just one example. You're just likely to get class cards, and if you know anything about drafting Arena these days, it's a lot of neutral garbage, and if you get offered a class card from Death Knight, they're all really good, and most of them are like single or double runes, and you don't really have to ever go triple. Like Lord Marogar is a triple unholy card, which is really high win rate, but it's not offered very often. You don't really have to worry about that coming up too often. If you do see it, you probably take it. It's freaking broken. But regardless, the cards are just, the card quality is way better. So what I see happening with Death Knight is it goes like every other class, and eventually just, oh, we're going to scale down the amount of class cards it can get, and it'll go down with the rest, and it'll become a lot more boring. I'd rather just every class get all their class cards and have a lot more decisions and stuff. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But you have the Arena right now. I gotta say, Earth Arena summed it up perfectly on Twitter. Basically, this PSA, if you want to play the Arena, what you want to do is finish the prologue, pick Death Knight or Paladin when offered, and if they're not offered, good luck. As you can see, they're just unplayable. So if you're looking at farming Death Knight wins, and like myself, I have a lot of gold, so I've been re-rolling just to get Death Knight, Arena's a pretty good place to do it. Otherwise, I would just stay clear of the mode. It is completely broken until they make adjustments, but I do imagine that will happen. The mode, though, that is the most concerning is Wild. And yes, we talk about Wild and Warlock in particular breaking Wild, but never like this before. This is a whole different thing. This makes the Demon Seed, this makes Snip Snap, this makes Naga Warlock blush in jealousy to the fact that Warlock, for the first time ever in Wild, has made it that only one class has a positive win rate in the format. As Discard Warlock, as I kind of alluded to in the intro, it's definitely back, and it is absolutely busted. This number keeps getting bigger. This gap between first and second keeps getting bigger, and basically you're playing Discard Warlock or you're not playing at all. Martian Boo tweeted out him playing at Legend. He went 14-5, and most losses were to the mirror. The deck doesn't lose too much but the mirror. And this is what the deck looks like. It has basically hit this this part where basically every card in the deck is just discard friendly. You can just blindly discard your entire hand and do disgusting things. Like you can play Cataclysm, what is thought to be like completely unplayable, terrible card. But let's just say you play Cataclysm and you're holding a Hand of Gul'dan. You draw 3 cards. You're holding a Soul Barrage. You deal 6 damage. A Fist, you deal 4 damage. You get a 2/5 Taunt. You get a 3/3 Silverware Golem. You get 2/2 on Spiders. Like there's just so much upside on what is supposed to be downside of discarding, and also just so much redundancy. Malchezaar's Imp is like the big enabler of a ton of stuff where it just draws you a bunch of cards, but you play Malchezaar's Imp with Tome Tampering, not only are you discarding your entire hand and getting more value out of it by putting it into your deck, and it all costs 1, but with Malchezaar's Imp, you're just filling your hand back up while again drawing more cards, dealing a ton of damage, and it's led to this point where there's not really a high roll with the deck. It's just uber consistent. You're going to be blowing your opponent up incredibly fast, and we're just seeing that even with not a ton of refinement. It's such an easy deck to play that everybody is just destroying everybody with this deck. Unlike back in the day where Snip Snap Warlock, well, if played perfectly, was like a god tier deck, probably had a better win rate than this. This doesn't require a ton of like high skill cap play. If you play Expire Merchant, you're going to discard like a Hand of Gul'dan, a Barrage. You're gonna be happy. You don't really have to think too much about it. You just play the cards and discard stuff and obliterate your opponent. And the scary thing is the win rate keeps going up. People getting like top tier Legend with it, and it's becoming more and more refined. People are starting to throw techs in there, like Cult Neophyte or Ashen Elemental, as Ice Block is seen as a way of kind of getting around it. Or the one of the classes that could kind of compete, the Pillager Rogues or the Miracle Roads of the classes, they draw a bunch of cards and develop 24, 12-12s. But this is actually kind of what we're going to talk about with Standard. The game is just a broken mess in general, but in Wild, in Arena, it is even more broken, more absurd. And this stuff, you see this Rogue deck barely moving the needle compared to Warlock. So outside of the balance patch that we probably need for like everything else, Rogue, Druid, Hunter, blah, 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 we'll talk about that in a future video. It's more standard based. For Warlock, discard Warlock, none of the stuff sees play in Standard. Something has to be done for Wild, and what do? I predicted Tome Tampering would get banned last expansion. I thought it would. I think maybe now it's the time for that to happen, but it does hurt other decks. I've heard people like Swagwar be like, please don't, my Mechathune deck gets hurt by that, and it's a fun card and all of this stuff. You weren't to ban a card like Tome Tampering that enables a ton of this stuff, and especially because Cataclysm kind of does the same thing, might still be a problem. The other card to really look at is Malchezaar's Imp. This is the card that just allows you to never run out of cards, do just absolutely broken stuff. It's always been a busted, crazy card, but it's a wild card. You don't ban wild cards. That's not what they do. Like, for example, the Demon Seed's gonna rotate out of Standard in April. They're gonna have to rework the card and then put it into Wild. That's what the plan is to do with banned cards. They're not gonna ban a card that's in Wild and Wild only. So they would have to nerf Malchezaar's Imp. You could make it more expensive, or you discard your first card in a turn, draw a card, make it so it's one, something like that. Those are your real options, honestly, is to nerf Malchezaar's Imp or to ban Tome Tampering. And I think banning Tome Tampering is the more likely option, but as this number gets larger and these numbers get smaller, it's pretty apparent something's got to get done. And there's a good chance we're going to see a standard balance patch like I'm alluding to that we'll talk about in another video that would just boost this deck, because none of this stuff would get hit the crossfire of standard. So curious what you guys think about these broken modes. Is it discouraging as a player in general that every time an expansion launches there seems to be a problem? Although this is like historic levels. Like even for day one Demon Hunter and Arena, it wasn't even at the level that we're seeing currently with Death Knight. I think Death Knight 62%. My old tweet here had Demon Hunter at 59. So this is unprecedented. It's historic. We'll have to see how they address it, but my God, avoid the Arena at all costs. I will say that, unless you're going Death Knight. If you want to play Discard Warlock, I guess, go play Wild. And in the meantime, let me know what you guys think about this basically a mess. And we'll probably talk about Standard, because there's a whole lot of issues there. I think Meaty's tweet wraps it up pretty well. Turn 2, 12 attack weapon. There's a lot of problems in the game, and I think we'll cover Standard tomorrow. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.